Yes, it's okay.
All right, Dan, you're good.
This is Live from the Table, recorded at the world-famous Comedy Cellar in New York's Greenwich Village, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog.
You're
And
melting.
I'm melting?
You're melting.
What do you mean, because I'm hot?
The sun.
Well, let me finish my intro.
Okay, sorry.
And coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog, I think I said that, and the Laugh Button Podcast Network. This is Dan Naturman, with me, Noam Dworman. Happy birthday, Noam. Noam just celebrated a big birthday.
Thank you, Dan.
And we'll just leave it at that. And we had dinner. Noam is the owner of the world-famous Comedy Cellar. Periel Aschenbrand is here, as she always is. She is, how do you qualify or classify Periel? She's been called a producer. Some say that word isn't exactly accurate.
She's the Iron Lady of the Comedy Cellar podcast. That's what she is.
She is an on-air personality. She does the booking, some of the marketing. Anyway, with us today, very happy to have Rafi Bastos.
Yeah, that's me.
That's him. He is from Puerto Alegre, Brazil.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
No
more
problem.
importantly,
I got nothing else to do.
Rafi is a Brazilian comedian. He's also an actor, a humorist. It says here on Wikipedia you're a businessman. I don't know.
Before the pandemic, I was.
How so?
I had a comedy club in Brazil.
Oh, you owned a and it's over. The comedy club.
It's over. When the pandemic started, I shut down.
Tell them how hard it is to run a business.
It's difficult. It's just the worst thing.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. It's not good at all. Yeah. It's not fun.
It's not good at all.
It's not fun.
But
when you need that money, it becomes your thing, and then you dedicate yourself. But when you have a little bit that you can just like have options, you're like, I don't want to go through that.
That's right.
Well, Noam, you do have options. You could sell. You're not doing so because at the end of the day, you enjoy. It's hard, but your lifeblood is here.
I would sell, actually.
Well, would you? But it would have to be a fairly...
That's not a bad idea.
But I don't think you really would. Would you? I mean, I guess it's some... is there an amount of money that can replace the fact that you get to come down here, talk, and we have to listen to you and nod our heads?
I would include that in the purchase agreement. But, but yeah, I've thought about the purchase agreement. I would have the right to come in. I'd have the right to be comped whenever I want. Not because I want to, but just like I want to be able. I would have the right to still be home here. But the main reason I don't pursue it is because it's quite a nice thing to have, and I think maybe if one of my kids should want to do that, I wouldn't want to foreclose the option for one of my kids to have fun owning a comedy club.
Which kid do you think at this point would be most likely to?
I really don't. Any of the three, They all have. So they all have some of the qualities that you would need. I don't know if any of them has all the qualities that you would need, and that's scary. But maybe the youngest one, Benny, he might. We don't know yet. He's a star.
Did you ever have offers to buy? You probably did.
I
right?
did. I did have a serious offer. I didn't entertain it seriously, but I did have a serious offer right before the pandemic to buy. And it was real money, Dan.
Well, I'm sure it would have to be real money because this place is worth real money.
Yeah.
Rafi is a part of a wave of comics from non-English speaking countries that have decided to try their luck at comedy in English. We had Gad Elmaleh from France who was here. We haven't seen him in a couple of years. There is Daniel Simonson from Norway. There is Adrian Minkowitz from Argentina.
It's just a few.
And then there is Rafi Bastos from Brazil. Rafi, why did you decide to come here and make things difficult for yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think dollars are a very good reason. Because, your money now worth 5 times more than mine. And that's if you conquer,
but you got to conquer.
Yeah, but that's not that's not the main reason. The thing is, I did everything that I wanted to do in Brazil. Everything. Movies.
I read you loud and clear. You banged every model.
No. But I wish. I did movies. I did series. I had my own talk show for a while on TV.
Wow.
So for a while, I'm not saying that everything was a huge success, but I had a few things that I wanted to do in Brazil, and I did pretty soon in my career. But I played basketball here in 1999, and I had to go back to Brazil because I got injured. So I never did my 4 years of college here. I never actually had a whole season. I got a lot of injuries. I had to go back to Brazil. So I felt like this American run didn't happen for me. So when I had a chance to come here and try with comedy something that I love, I really wanted to take advantage of it. And it was a chance for me to and to actually share the stage with people that I've been admiring, been inspired by for years. That's
Well, that's
it's the same thing
quite
as-
flattering to hear that.
yeah. My dream was to
To
meet.
share the stage with Dan Naturman.
No.
Well, if it wasn't your dream, but it should have been.
It became my dream as soon as I saw you for the first time. But the thing is, when you play basketball, you want to play at the NBA. Or if you want to play soccer, you want to play Spain. So to be here doing comedy in New York in a place like the Cellar, this is the dream for every comedian everywhere in the world. You guys don't know that probably, but that's
Are we the NBA?
you are playing this, being here in this club is much more meaningful than being on a late night set on a talk show and traveling all around the country and packing theaters.
Why?
Because this is a stamp of comedy that you are good. It doesn't mean success. It doesn't mean
The Tonight Show is not?
no. I don't.
It used to be. It used to be.
Yeah, probably for a long time he was. Being a regular in this club means so much more than just being on a TV show, acting or anything else. If that's what you're searching, because my thing is stand-up. I don't want to do the whole other circuit. For me, this is what it was always my
And
dream.
are you feeling? Because I think we've discussed that you're not quite as easy in English as you are in Portuguese. You're sometimes in terms of crowd work, it's a little bit more difficult.
It's difficult, yeah. But I was never. A few things helped me doing this, coming here. The fact that I speak slow, even in Portuguese. I'm a slow talker. On stage, I'm even slower. So that helps when you're not doing it in your language. I was never the guy who was like improvisating with the audience, even in Portuguese. So it's not something that changed that much. So what I found that is a little different is that when I am memorized to come to do stand-up in English, that's when I can play a little more. I can play with the silence. I'm comfortable with the things that I am saying. If I'm not memorized, it looks like I'm searching for something. So it looks like I am memorized. It's kind of crazy. Because when you're doing your language and you're too memorized, it looks like you're stiff. If you're not memorized in English, that's when you look stiff.
That's when a non-native might
Yeah.
look stiff.
Yeah, because you're
'Cause you're searching
searching
around.
for words and verbs. And the
Because
way-
it is the hard, I mean, listening to you speaking English, it sounds to us like you speak English quite well.
Did you memorize everything you just said?
No.
Yeah, I was rehearsing since January.
Well, because jokes have to be so precise,
Yeah.
the words had to be so
Yeah.
exact, and they had to be delivered fluidly, and the word has to be chosen properly. And
Yes.
so it's just another level of precision.
But the technique that I use doing in English is the same that I was doing in Portuguese. Nothing changed. And those things helped me.
Well, it's your jokes that you translated from Portuguese
I
to
didn't
English.
translate that many things. Because the exciting thing is living here and seeing the American reality. And the things that you guys think are normal for me, they're not. A few things that you see that I see that sometimes you
Well,
guys...
can you give us an example of something that we think is normal and that you do not think is normal?
Yesterday I was watching, this is not a joke, and I'm not doing material, but yesterday I was watching those medication commercials. And people are having a blast with the worst diseases ever. Like you can say, do you have HPV? And there's also a girl dancing and on a jet ski. It's those things that I can see that you're like, oh. And at the end of every medication commercial, it's like 1 minute of side effects. Like you can die taking a pill. So I didn't write anything, but those are the things that I watch, and I'm like, I don't know if they see this as weird.
I think actually those commercials are relatively new. I think maybe 20 years. It's not that new, but I didn't grow up with them. And I think there was some law that you couldn't have them, and then at some point,
Yeah, I think it was one of the things that wasn't allowed to be advertised. Periel has a whole bit about her experience with hemorrhoids or something, and of course, I'm sure you chose the words very precisely,
How
right?
do you know? How do what do you know that?
Because there's a whole bit about putting her ass up to the camera for
But
the
how
doctor.
do you know? You've
that's
never
nothing.
seen.
Yeah, I saw it one night on your what was the name of that pandemic show you guys had?
Oh, with Jessica Kirsten and Rachel.
What was it called?
We're Not Okay.
We're Not Okay. Well, the first show we watched,
yeah.
yeah. But when Dan said, jokes have to be, the words have to be precise and told in the exact right. I'm wondering if that was your experience in your story about your hemorrhoids.
It is.
Yeah?
It always is. I think that
whether or not you like the joke
It's a fantastic. I don't know if it's a joke. It's a true story.
or a
But
story,
it's a fantastic story.
it still has to
Yeah.
be said, in the right
It's
way.
a horrible visual image.
No, I don't love it. By the way, and we must congratulate Rafi. I found out this just before the show. Rafi today found out that he is getting his green card. So congratulations to Rafi.
Congratulations.
Just got the news.
So that means you have it, or it's coming in the mail, or
It's gonna take at least like 5 months for me to get my green card. But the problem now is Texas.
Texas. Yeah, I know Texas. They don't allow abortions there.
No.
Oh, you mean taxes? I'm sorry.
Texas. I have to pay. I don't know. This is what I want to find out. Like, it means that I have to pay all taxes of the money I'm getting in Brazil.
What were you doing with the money you were earning before your green card?
I didn't have to pay taxes from the money I was getting in Brazil here. But I think with the green card, that's what I still have to do a little research about.
So you're just starting your work at the Comedy Cellar.
No. The thing is, all the
What's going on here?
all the money
Yeah.
that I get
Yeah.
is still in Brazil.
In Brazil.
I'm still doing a podcast. I'm still doing my things in Brazil.
I see.
I have a career here, but the money that pay my rent and everything, that's from Brazil.
He goes to Brazil every 2 months to see his son, or 2 months,
Yeah,
1 month.
2 months, yeah.
Now,
and I spent 15
I don't think
days.
Noam, you couldn't last 2 months between visits with your kids. Probably. I don't mean to.
Not based on my current lifestyle. If I had to go earn a living and you do what you have to do, I guess.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, he doesn't like the idea that he always tell me, you're not even famous there, so what are you doing?
How old is he?
Hilarious.
He's 11.
11. My daughter's 10.
You're not even 10, so yeah. Can you imagine yourself like moving to Australia now?
No,
It's
I can't imagine it.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
But that I'm 45 already. This is not something that I can start at 55 years old. I'm at my limit.
Now or never.
Now or never, yeah. If I want to have another kid now with my new wife, things are going to get a little difficult for me to go back and forth. So I have a kid here and then I have a kid in Brazil. Life's going to be a little difficult. So I want to take advantage of everything that I can do it right. I want to move here like permanently. That's why I got a green card, but I'm always like, if something happened in Brazil, like my father is sick now, those things you have to run. It's not that easy.
This is the point that I made on stage. I have a new joke about it, but Americans are constantly complaining about America being an awful place, and we certainly are not without our problems. But people are still want to come here, and people that aren't destitute and desperate, but people like Rafi, who has a nice life, I assume, in Brazil, yet he still sees America as this great place.
It is, my friend. It is. It is in a wonderful place. You know how many opportunities my kid would have here. Not only talking about violence. I live on 39th and 2nd, when I do my set at the Comedy Cellar, I walk home. You don't know how special you are having the possibility of walking home.
You're 6'7".
I'm 6'7".
I mean, I couldn't walk home late at night.
I see a lot of women like you walking at like 3 o'clock in the
You
morning.
can't compare it to Brazil. So I'll tell you a story. Well, there was something else I wanted to say. What were we talking about right before the... Oh, I think America, it's like we're like an anorexic nation in the sense that we look in the mirror and we see this fat, ugly person. We don't, and we're just not that person. We don't understand how fantastic America is. We don't understand how minor our problems are comparatively as a nation. I mean, we like, this is a fantastic place to live. The worst among us are living. I don't mean people who are drug addicted or people who have problems that are not actually caused by the country, but in terms of like, as a nation, comparatively to the history of planet Earth, this is an unbelievably fantastic place. But anyway, I was in Brazil, and I can't tell the whole story because it might get back to my wife, and I'm not sure she knows the whole story. But I was in Brazil with Steve. You know Steve, Outside Steve?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And
through a series of unfortunate events that ended with Steve grabbing the wheel of a car that he was a passenger in, kind of like Donald Trump was claimed to, supposedly grab the seat. He grabbed the wheel of a car, took the car keys out, threw them out the window of a car, and then because we were in trouble, and we found ourselves walking home down a long hill through one of these, was it favelas?
Favela.
this was in Rio.
Yeah, in Rio. One of these like super dangerous favelas in the middle of the night in Rio.
Yeah.
And we're walking down the hill, and we come upon a gang of like, I don't know if it's a gang, but like 7 or 8 guys just out on the street in the middle of Brazil at night. And I said to Steve, I'll take the 4 on the left, you take the 4 on the right. This is what I said. It was such an absurd situation.
Yeah.
We were so surely going to get robbed or murdered, whatever
robbed
it is.
is the least.
And I really did make that gallows humor joke because it was, and we just walked by and we walked safely out. And I think that it was so ridiculous to see these 2 slight white people walking. They probably figured, don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
Like they probably figured
If they're
that.
here, they know something that we don't know.
Yeah, this is not possible.
Yeah.
Like, but that, I mean, that was probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been in my life. Anyway, I don't know if that story was a good story or not.
It's such
Well,
a-
I think you left out probably the most compelling part.
Well, just the ending. Pick it like one of those movies where it starts in the scene with just start the scene with Steve grabbing the wheel, taking the keys out of the car, throwing them out the window. That ought to give you some idea that this was a hairy situation while the car was going.
Do you know where you guys were? You don't know.
Somewhere in Rio, I don't know.
Because there are favelas that if you're there, you wouldn't, something would happen. There are a few favelas that are not that dangerous. And maybe it's just scary, but it's not that dangerous.
I don't know.
But I'm telling you, like,
But I'll tell you one other little hint, little aspect of the story. We were on our way to the top of some place, I think, where there was supposed to be some hang gliding involved. Of course, because some girl that Steve was somehow, was involved in this, and we just found ourselves, and I had been not with the conversation when this happened, and I said, what the fuck did you agree to, And I mean, it's an unbelievably surreal series of events that happened. But anyway, I think it was dangerous. I think it
Okay.
was
Did you go hand gliding?
No, because while we were in the car...
You can't just go hang gliding. You have to have training to go hang.
But we didn't end up getting to the hang. So while we're in the car driving someplace, the guy turns up a road. He's like all coked up. And he turns up a
Is there
side
a
road.
taxi driver?
And he turns off the headlights. And he drives as fast as he can No, as we were driving somewhere, I was getting a bad feeling. I said, listen, I just want to get out. I'm like, I stopped the car and just let me out
It's a
right
cab
here.
driver.
No, that was not a cab driver. It was somebody that we met in a hotel. He said, I just want to get out right now. And then some people in the car said, let him out. And the guy then turns off the headlights, turns up a road, and goes as fast as he can, like he's not going to let me out, and turns as fast as he can up a hill in pitch black. And that's when Steve, and scream, the screaming in the car.
Wait, who's
And
in the car?
Steve-
Just you and Steve?
I can't tell you that. And Steve grabs the
Just
wheel
out-pinching.
and opens and throws it out, and we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. This was unbelievable. Anyway,
Well, how did you get back to where you needed to be?
They
we
walked.
walked
They
down the
walked
hill.
through
They
the
were able to find a
favela.
way.
and
They
you
walked.
It's
found.
pretty easy because you just walk down,
Yeah.
you get to
You
the
just
road.
leave the favela.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds so terrifying.
Yeah. Ask Steve if he can tell you the whole story.
And also, I feel like for you to have that kind of an extreme reaction, it must have been so, because you're not like a hysterical person.
No, it's like, you guys go, just let me out right here. We weren't. I just want to get out. I don't like the feel of this thing. I'm not going up there. Blah, blah, blah. And that's when I was obviously correct.
Right.
Because that's when the guy freaked out and
Like, I have those instincts just when I'm in like a regular yellow taxi sometimes.
Want to leave? Just want to
crazy.
leave.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, I'm getting kidnapped.
oh, what a story that was. Anyway, go ahead.
No, what I'm
well-
saying is that they don't choose. You know, in Brazil they don't choose. I got robbed at gunpoint like 5 times in my
Wow.
life in Brazil. So and that's what I'm seeing.
But do people know who you are in Brazil when you walk down the street at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, how well do they know who you are? You know, how much attention do you get when you're walking down the street there?
There's a huge TV station in Brazil called Globo. The big stars in South America, they do soap operas, like The Day of Our Lives. You know those hacky and kitschy things that they have here? We have that there. I never did that thing, but I have my talk show. I did this show. It was a mix between The Daily Show and The View. And it was really, really famous that I was one of the hosts. So people know who I am. Yeah, they do a lot.
By the way, Periel gave some, and good for Rafi to disabuse you. You gave like me a weird look when I said how great America is.
Well, I was just thinking, yeah, it's great unless you want to get an abortion.
All right, do you realize, well, you had this view prior to that.
No, but I mean, that's like a real thing.
Do you realize that we had a pandemic and the average American came out wealthier? Like it's like, you know what a pandemic has
Yeah, but-
normally meant in most countries?
Yeah, I
in the
do
world?
know that, but also we had like a top Harvard economist on, and you, like our last show, who both said that that was a terrible idea, and it like basically ruined the economy.
No, it caused, no. The last program where they spent money on a million other things, he said that people needed money, caused inflation. But even with the inflation, it's not like the sky is falling. I mean, inflation is bad. They have to get rid of it. But we're just we're very fortunate.
Listen, there are
In
things.
the history of humankind, we're very fortunate. Look at you. Look what you got. You're wearing jewelry and whatever. Go ahead.
In the air conditioning.
Air conditioning. yeah.
I'm wholly aware of the fact that I was fortunate enough to be born in this particular time in history, and that there are great things about America, but there are also some really, maybe because we have the ability to be so great, it's even more tragic that there are so many horrible things here, and I don't.
Okay, this is what I don't get. This is the only thing. Now we'll move on to more things. Just like, so my father lived in the 40s and 50s, right? When things were much worse by every measure you can imagine. And yet the average person alive in the 40s and 50s was much more appreciative of the country, of his ilk, the average like cab driver or white person like my father was much more appreciative and even adoring of the country than his counterpart today, despite the fact that they're infinitely better off today. Somewhere in that disconnect is very interesting, Anyway, go ahead.
So, what do you attribute that to? That is interesting.
What I attribute it to is a total lack of perspective. It's just a total lack. My father, okay, so what was my father's perspective? His parents had fled Russia. There was a Holocaust. Israel, the Arabs were attacking. Like, he understood very well what the rest of the world was. Do you think my kids understand what the rest of the world is?
No, I don't.
They don't fucking
But
have
also,
any
the
idea.
rest of the world is not as bad as it was then. So, when you
The rest of the
compare,
world is still pretty bad.
well,
Yeah.
when you compare us to Europe and Australia and Canada, they stack up fairly well.
Yeah. The Western
But
world.
That's not that's not the world.
Yeah.
No, I live in a place where the whole continent, not the whole continent, but the whole South America, it's made by third world countries. It's like everybody around me suffered something, some kind of violence one day in their lives. Talking about abortion, I completely understand that this is very concerning. But we cannot have abortions in Brazil as well unless you're raped. So because
Well, here you can't even have abortions if you're raped.
Okay. First of all, let's stop for a second. There are some states which have these extreme abortion laws. It's probably a small percentage of the population at large. These are small, deep South states. This is concerning.
It's a crisis. It's not concerning.
Okay, it's a crisis. Nevertheless, there are. It's just to put it in perspective. As much as it's a crisis, I'm a dad. I would see it as a crisis. We are also free to travel to the neighboring states, and we are also free to purchase on the internet, labor-inducing drugs. So, it is important to describe the crisis within all those things. Yes, it's very serious. I'm 100% against it. Do not use that to indict America, because the indictment of America did not begin 3 weeks ago when the Dobbs decision was handed down. That's that's just too convenient. So go ahead.
By the way, did you know, Noam, another thing I found out just before the show, Brazil is larger than the continental United States.
you thought I was 6'4". So
And I only see,
sizes are not that thing.
but in my defense,
Measurement.
You were always sitting down, and
That's true. That's a
when
good
I
argument.
see you, you're always sitting down,
That's a good argument.
eating something here at the olive
Yes.
tree.
You're right.
And with regard to Brazil, somehow it just South America, all the countries are tiny there, most of them,
Yeah.
and
Brazil is the one that is big. But let me just go back to that thing real quick. The sense of freedom that you have here. I'm not only talking about politics and you can express your opinion everywhere. I'm not only saying that. The democracy that you guys have, it's amazing. I don't worry when my wife goes to the supermarket. Those little things that are when you have some kind of you're a middle class in a third world country, those things concern you a lot.
now
My kid cannot go to his school is like 2 blocks from my home. I need to hire someone. Like they have those vans that take kids to school. I need to pay for that. The only thing that we have that I think we are proud of is our healthcare system. That we have some good doctors in the public system, but everybody around me, they don't feel safe, and that kind of it drains you. It's like it makes you tired. You're worried about who's walking, where you are. Sometimes I'm walking here like 3 o'clock or maybe 4 o'clock going out, and I see 2 girls chit-chatting and with their phones. And I'm like, I need to rob her just to teach her a lesson. This is how Honduras work.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's somebody from Japan might say, I go to America, I don't feel as safe as I do in
Yeah,
Japan.
probably.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, but
So we could do better, certainly, especially when it comes to
it's disturbing that we seem to be
crime.
moving backward in some way. Do you know it's not backwards? It's backward. Did you know that? I've always made that mistake, but I realize it's
Well, I'm a big believer in if people use the language in a certain way, then that's what it is. I mean, there was an argument about Ebonics. Is that bad English, or is it just another form of English?
It's not bad English. It's informal English. But when you're writing formal English, you want to know the word. I have no problem with Ebonics whatsoever. But I wouldn't want a law review paper written in Ebonics. Yeah.
I think that you become accustomed to the kind of violence that you grew up around.
You do?
So,
Yeah.
like, I have family members in Israel who have been through multiple wars, and I've been there during wars.
Part of
and
their lives.
Yeah, it's terrifying, except they're, like, past the hummus, and there are, like, bombs flying. But they're scared to take the subway here.
Yeah, of course, but that's why when you don't have that perspective when you are in a third world country, like how unsafe you are.
Yeah.
So when I came here and I spent a little bit of time, that's when I felt I'm breathing. I feel like I feel free. Of course, there's a lot of things that are different. It's very difficult to have human connections here. It's not easy to have friends. People think about themselves a lot. It's not easy at all. But at the same time, you feel like you can just walk around, go to a restaurant from restaurant. What I say is violence in my country and here is different. Like, we are poor and you are crazy. So the crazy is unexpected, you know? Anything can happen at any time, like school shootings. That doesn't happen there that much. Like, people just flip and something happen, like someone push you on the subway. Those things don't happen. They steal your money. They maybe stab you, but they don't. I'm not gonna push you and
But if they
kill you.
stab you, it's for the money.
It's for the money.
That is
They have a
sensitive.
purpose.
By the way, I should acknowledge, just because I remember, so 2 weeks ago, we talked about this 10-year-old who wanted an abortion. And at the time in the news, in the Washington Post, there was a fact check which made it seem like that wasn't true, but I think it actually did turn out to be true. So I just want to correct the record. I was only repeating what I read. I had no stake in it. Anyway, I mean, all roads lead back to abortion with Periel. So, but you know, Periel, just to say,
As well they should. And by
Well,
the
well,
way,
okay.
and I didn't want, wait, I just want to respond to what you said before. It might very soon become illegal to go to other states to get abortions. The doctors are at risk of being jailed
how could they be illegal?
because, what do you mean? You can't go to another state to get an abortion
How?
because the doctors are not going to be legally allowed to perform them.
Didn't Dobbs say that there was no right of trans? I mean, if you have a
I
constitution,
think there's some states that might try to make that illegal. I don't think that would be
So you
constitutional.
can't have an
Wouldn't be
abortion in a few
constitutional.
states, and the other ones you can't. That's it.
Well, some of them are 6 weeks. I mean, it's
okay.
reverting
Yeah.
to state by state.
well, and some of the states will
Brazil has
revise.
states too, by the way.
Yeah.
But that we don't have like
It's not a
state laws.
You don't have state laws.
No,
So the
there's-
states are just geographical.
There's only one thing I want to say about that, but I really believe it. I am not. I have a 10-year-old. The idea that she could, God forbid, get raped and then be forced to have a child. This
Ugh,
is
God forbid.
This is unthinkable. So don't get me wrong. On the other hand, I also have to say that having a son who was born in 35 weeks, to know that in New Jersey, a mom can go in and get an abortion at 36 weeks without question, is every bit as atrocious to me. And that side of the coin somehow doesn't make us a horrible country to people like you, but to people
people like
but to,
me?
to people who don't see it that way, but to people who do care about the idea that viable babies are killed in this country at some number, probably similar to the number of the 10-year-old abortions, they would say that that's what makes us a bad country, right? So all I'm saying is that when you take an issue like abortion, where both sides of the coin, I would say, are people who in their hearts are trying to do what they think is right. I have trouble considering that evidence that the country is bad, no matter how unhappy you are with the democratic process on that. These are you have the people on one side who believe they're saving lives, and people who don't believe on the other side that it's saving lives, and they believe that it's a horrible imposition on the rights of women, whatever it is. This is not akin to me to slavery or something like that, where the moral issue is clear and where there's an evil side and a righteous side. I don't think there's an evil side in the abortion debate, in the
I don't
context of
agree.
the
I
fact
mean,
that the people that you think are evil actually believe that, and actually often, to a certain extent, they certainly are, in my opinion, saving some lives, and they're probably also saving some fetuses that we would probably all agree are too young to be considered alive. But it's just a very, very complex
so
issue. So that's all I want to say about it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that you can't say without question, because that's not true. You're
Can't say
making
what
it-
without
you
question?
You can't gallivant into a clinic and get an abortion at 36 weeks
Yeah, New Jersey is one of the...
without question.
Yeah, New Jersey is one of the states that has
Well,
abortion
you
on
should
demand.
read this. Can you read this piece in
No.
Bloomberg.com?
No, not if it's going to say something different than what I said.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's states where it's. I mean, I think in New York you can go right up to.
No, New York has some strings. I don't very few strings, but I read. I could have read it wrong. I mean, I could have
How
read it
many
underlined.
girls have you
I've
guys
read that
gotten
Jersey
pregnant?
and a couple other states actually have no fault, no strings attached, right up until delivery.
It's not true.
You guys.
How
talk
many?
over.
How many abortions do you think you guys are responsible for?
I know precisely how many I'm responsible.
Zero, as far as I know.
Oh, it's not
As
zero.
far as I know.
As far as I know, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct. But I don't have a robust sex life.
You don't?
No,
No, you never did.
I never did.
You never did. Not even when you had someone with you that wanted.
But when did I have someone with me?
Okay. Have you ever had a girlfriend that wanted and you didn't?
Did I ever have a girlfriend that what with a what?
That
what?
wanted to have sex and you're like, no, I don't feel like it.
It's happened.
Okay.
It's happened. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
sad.
happened.
Okay, that's pretty sad.
You think? Yeah, okay. And you think you have it rough living in a third world hellhole? No, but I think a lot of guys, like many guys, have had sex when they don't 100% want to. Noam, could you back me up on this?
A lot of guys, what?
Have had sex when they don't. When
When they don't want to?
they don't want to.
Oh, all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You don't want to. Listen, it's very hurtful to tell a woman that you don't want to have sex with her. This is true.
I'm really going to hurt you.
I shouldn't have said that. Nicole, you want to cut that out?
Now,
I'm telling you the God's honest truth that I can remember one time being with a woman who was, heavy.
Okay, but that was just one time.
No, I remember one time specifically, and I didn't really want to have sex with her, and I was so not wanting to make her feel bad about herself that, like, all I'm saying is like if she's super hot and you turn her down, it's just not the same pressure.
I mean, this really, of all the horrible
Why?
things
I obviously
you've
maybe
ever
I'm the
said,
autistic one. Why did I say that was
might
wrong?
be like worse than the abortion, worse
kidding.
than the
I'm
trans.
just kidding around. I'm just playing a character. I know. I'm just kidding.
So Dan, do you want to?
right now,
Well, why did that bother you so much?
Rafi doesn't understand this because
horrible.
he is from Brazil, which is about.
And he's 6'6".
Well,
Seven.
there are-
6'7".
No, but also Brazil is all about passion.
Yeah,
The idea of a Brazilian not wanting to have sex.
it's kind of
It's-
crazy.
That'd
yeah.
be like a Frenchman turning down a glass of wine.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I would have
good,
said
Dan.
that. That's a good.
Or a
That's a
foie
good
gras.
comparison. That's a good
Well,
comparison.
that's our stereotype of Brazil. We only have one stereotype of Brazil. That's the only one we got.
New Jersey allows a right to
jumping
abortion,
around.
which allows it for any reason up until birth. New Jersey allows abortion.
This is from
Wikipedia.
What,
For any reason
what
up till
does
birth.
New Jersey say about having sex with overweight people?
Listen, overweight. Sometimes I say things purposely to be like a little outrageous, and I think that the listeners might take it seriously. But I'm kidding. I was purposely being outrageous. But there is that dynamic, and I'm not kidding about that. And I'm sure women feel that dynamic too. We've
But
heard about like
the pity fuck.
pity hand jobs, whatever it is, where because men are never supposed to turn down sex, it can be very hurtful when a man turns down sex. Feel like, Jesus Christ, what's the matter with me? And when you feel that the woman already might have confidence issues, a sensitive man
like yourself?
like myself will do the right thing and try to build her confidence.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, Rafi, we were discussing this recently. I don't know if you want to get into this, and you can plead the Fifth Amendment. I don't know if you know what the Fifth Amendment is.
That I don't want to talk about it.
That you don't want to talk about it. We were having discussion yesterday. If you have sex as a man, with a transgender woman who looks like a woman, with the minor exception that she has a penis, does that make you gay?
I don't think so.
Doesn't think it makes you gay. Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I would
don't
say,
think
and I
so.
would
I
go a
don't
step.
think
I would
so.
go a step further. I would say, if you don't want to have sex with a beautiful woman just because she has a penis, what kind of homo are you?
I don't.
Look at Noam. Look at the expression on Noam's face.
If you have sex with that woman, and her dick is part of the equation, maybe it's a little different. But the only fact that she has a dick, it doesn't mean that you're gay.
Okay, well, hold on.
If you're feeling horny and that her dick is making you, that's a little homoerotic. But if she has a dick and you're having sex with her without caring about the dick, to me,
guys,
just
I
having
know that I'm like the troglodyte who says that, but sex to me means that you put your dick in her vagina. How are you having sex with her when there's a blockage
What
there?
do you mean? You've never had anal sex
Did
with
you never had a sexual encounter that you just had sex with her anus? You never had that? That's still sex.
Or oral sex?
Or oral sex. That's still sex.
I mean, you're sucking her dick.
That's a little gay. That's a little gay.
What are you
That's
talking
exactly
about?
what. That's the only thing that makes you a little.
I don't want to talk about my brush with anal sex because when you're afflicted as I am, women generally don't want to have anal sex with you. But
You mean to tell me that you're well endowed?
that's what I was implying, but I was just kind of half kidding. But
Half kidding.
but I haven't had a lot of anal sex. But the point is that when you take a woman home and you undress her, normally anal sex is not the first thing. I don't know about Brazil. In America, normally anal sex is not the first kind of sex you have with a woman. Normally, the first kind of sex you have with a woman
Not
is.
if you're an
That's
Orthodox
exactly
Jew.
what we do in Brazil. We go to the anus before we go to the vagina.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that that's like a Catholic thing or something?
No,
Because
it's
you're supposed to say a virgin.
No, it's because that's the way we do it. And also,
I think he's kidding, but I'm not sure.
No, he's not kidding.
I'm not.
Hard to
Did you
tell.
ever? If you go search for porn in the websites and see Brazil, what are you gonna see? Anal sex.
This is hands down my favorite episode we've ever taken.
This is anal sex. And
Carol's like, I need to move to Brazil. I've been a fish out of water.
doing all these years
that was
in
a little.
America?
That was a research. That was a research that
I'm
is
going to
much
Google
more.
anal sex in Brazil and see what comes
It's
up.
much
Please
more
don't.
common for people to just have sex, anal sex, than having just vaginal sex.
Can I say something in all seriousness? It's probably because it's so hard to get abortions.
No. No.
Well, I
We're
think
not running away from the law.
Well,
That's why I'm
here's-
fucking your anus.
This is Quora.com. Why is anal sex so prevalent in Brazil? This is a whole thread on
See?
Alfredo Peroso says it isn't. There is not any evidence to suggest that we are any more likely or less likely.
it's just
wait,
you,
wait.
Rafi.
Alfredo Peroso. Look at the face of this guy. Do you think he's having sex with people anus?
Oh, now you sound like me.
And also, look at this. This is Hebrew.
No, it's Arabic.
Arabic.
Same thing.
Do you think this guy's having sex in Brazil? No, he's not.
Okay,
a lot of anal
so
sex
I
in
have a little experience with this, not from Brazil, but I do know that in some Asian countries, because women are supposed to stay virgins, they will have anal sex
That can happen, but it's very specific.
to keep the
Brazil,
man.
we really like butts.
Well, you have nice butts in Brazil. The girls have.
And also waxing vaginas.
Yeah.
Well, we do that here.
That's
too.
something that we export to the world. Which is something that we don't do that much. We have it's
Wait a
we
minute.
don't call what Brazilian
this
wax.
is
we
the
just
truth
call
about it.
vaginas. So
I'm sorry, I'm just another thing. ConnectSavannah.com. I don't know what that is, but it says some countries have higher rates. A variety of research suggests Brazil might be the anal sex capital of the world.
Wow.
So Rafi. I mean, at least according to that,
and also we have so much anal sex in Brazil that if I was telling about playing with the woman's dick. That's a little gay if you touch it, but if she fucks you in the ass, it doesn't mean that you're gay, because we as people, we know the pleasure that we can have through the butt
as men.
as men.
Oh, interesting.
You know.
So if a woman fucks you in the ass,
Yeah.
it's not gay.
Yeah, no, it is not gay. Doesn't mean that you're gay, because there's something that I don't know how to say this in English. I don't know how to say this in English, but
Can't say it in English.
yeah. But if you get fucked in the ass, there's a special pleasure that you have as a man. The prostate.
Yeah,
Is
the
that the name
prostate,
of
of
the thing?
course. Yeah.
Prostata in Portuguese. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
it in English.
prostate, yes.
If you massage the prostate.
Yeah, of course.
And that happens when you're a man and someone fucks you in the ass. So doesn't mean that you're gay unless it's a dude doing it. If your woman is putting like a bottle or I don't know what, it doesn't mean that you're gay. It's just-
Oh, as long as it's not attached to a man.
but if it's
No,
if it's
even
a
if
trans, if it's a trans, it's
girl-
okay.
Yeah, if it's a trans
If it's
girl.
if it's you fucking my ass, that's a little gay. Yeah, I know.
But if a trans woman fucks you in the ass, then that's not
that
gay.
doesn't mean that you're
I put this into Google Translate. I'm just want to
Some
see how
people
accurate it
just
is.
you know what? Some people are married to a woman or trans in Brazil. They don't fuck her. The guy just gets fucked by her. He's not gay.
Rafi, if Periel had the nerve to say what you're saying now, I would have abused her for weeks. But if you're saying it, I believe you.
Okay.
Nicole, are we going
Part of
too?
the culture.
Are we going too far, Nicole?
No, this is all extremely intriguing. It's like a topic you've touched on before, but you're really stretching it.
Well, we're
Stretching
stretching it. Yes. Well, nice choice of words, Rafi. She always sounds that way. So don't.
Okay.
She always sounds
Doesn't
very
mean that she's
monotone.
excited.
It doesn't sound like she's excited, but that's how she is. She's from Binghamton.
That's awesome.
That's how they are up there.
If you're not excited about this conversation, I don't think the other ones about politics are gonna excite her.
Now, Periel, I just want to get. Have you ever, you know, as it were, brought a man to completion simply to get him out of your hair, or because you felt sorry for him, or just to end the?
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. And did you ever worry about, you know, hurting his feelings?
Probably. I mean, I feel like I'm not an asshole.
Okay.
I mean, I have kicked guys out of bed for not being as endowed as I thought they were.
What is
going
it?
to
You've
What-
kicked
what-
them out?
What is endowed?
Small dick, having a small dick.
Small dick.
You've kicked a guy out of bed for having a small dick?
Yeah.
That's
What did you say to him? What did you say exactly?
Well, he was overweight, so
Is this a joke? Because the only other woman I know who's done that is Rosalind, our friend Rosalind.
my
has
God.
kicked a guy out for having a small dick.
That's
Said,
hilarious.
boy, you get out of here with that thing. This is true. You can ask her.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so you and Rosalind are actually kindred spirit. Would you really? That's terrible. Why would you do that to a man? How cruel are you?
What is a small dick in America?
Probably the same thing as it would be in
Yeah.
in Sao Paulo.
No, I've never really done that.
I think.
Don't
small,
lie now,
no,
Periel.
I haven't.
I think
haven't.
small would be anything under 4 inches. I think would be pushing it, and under 4 would be. I think would be. Considered
I think it's also the width,
microfouls.
the girth is really the.
3. It would be very hard to imagine Rafi has anything less than 7 inches.
If my
I mean, the man is 6 feet 7 inches tall.
if my dick is a medium size, for you is already huge. Think about it. My medium dick on you, it's like an arm. Think about it.
I'm thinking about it. And I'm oddly enough aroused.
If I have a
No, I'm
small
kidding about-
dick, it's medium for the whole population.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm thinking about it on a trans woman, so I'm not gay. I'm thinking about it on a trans woman in my ass. That way, it's purely heterosexual.
I really hope.
I must say that in my informal
That's
polling,
okay.
odd choice of words perhaps, but in my informal polling of men, I find a lot of men, heterosexual men that lead heterosexual lives. Just at Noam had a birthday dinner. It was a very, very special birthday. I won't give numbers, but it was a big one.
60. I turned 60 years old.
Nice.
By the way, why was I the only comic you invited to the birthday dinner?
You asked me this at the dinner.
I know, but I think it's interesting.
Because we do a podcast together, and
That's why.
it was a limited number of seats. I have a particular relationship with you, which is not actually the same relationship with the other comedians. And if I started inviting the comedians diplomatically, it would have been a very difficult.
But diplomatically, when you got married to Juanita, you invited some comics, but not every comic.
No,
so you
invited-
know how to make, how to draw a line.
But this was a 30-person dinner. My wedding had like 200 people at it. It was way much easier. I had comedians at the wedding who I was barely friends with. But I was able to really basically invite all the comedians that I had known like 5 years or more at the wedding. It was pretty easy to manage at the wedding.
Okay, but there are. But am I the comic to whom you are the close? I mean, forget about the.
Oh, is that what
podcast.
this is about, you, Dan?
Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering. I
course.
felt because I feel like there's comics that you feel closer to than with me. That might not be the case.
Well, apparently
No,
not.
I'm probably more friendly with you than any other comic.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think.
That's interesting.
No. You know who was invited but couldn't come is Robert Kelly.
Okay.
But that's again not because he's a comedian, but because he's my neighbor. Our kids play together. Robert and I have a friendship outside of his being a comedian at the Comedy Cellar. You and I have a friendship and a relationship that exists outside you working. at
By the way,
Comedy Cellar.
Noam had about 30 people or so at his birthday party. He gave a speech in which he said something about each and every person at that party. It was quite a long speech, but a very, very moving speech.
Thank you, Dave.
I think the person that got the most, if I didn't know better, the most love was Mr. Coleman Hughes in your speech.
I don't remember the speech. It was all extemporaneous. Is that the word? It was all off the top of my head.
Oh, it was all
I
improvised.
taped the entire thing.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but it was like a 20-minute video.
Yeah, my arm felt like it was going to fall off.
it was
after
much
it.
longer than I realized.
It made me cry.
It also made me realize what a full life Noam has had, and hopefully for many, many decades to come.
Is this a podcast where you kiss Noam's ass for?
No, believe
No,
no,
never. I don't.
I-
This is the nicest he's ever been to me.
No, I give Noam credit. I give Noam credit when he deserves credit. He deserves credit for being a good musician. As far as I know,
He is a good musician.
I'm not a
Yes, he's a
musician,
very
but
good
it seems like he's good to me.
Yeah.
He gets credit. I think he comes up with some very insightful things. But can he be a horse's ass? Can he be insufferable? Sure.
He has good taste in books, you would say, probably.
Well, because
I
you
like
like
this
my,
book.
'cause you like my book.
Yeah.
Does he make the podcast more political than I would like? Yeah, there's a lot wrong with Noam, but I do give him credit where credit is due. Believe me, I can kiss his ass. Not going to help. Esty is really in charge of who works here.
I know.
Noam is very loath to. Is Noam saying otherwise? Noam is loath to interfere with Esty's booking strategy.
I know,
But I do.
He could because he's the
I
boss.
do, I do from
But,
time
but
to
he
time.
doesn't want to because that'll piss off Esty, and Esty is too valuable to piss off.
No, that's. I mean, there's no one reason. I don't want. I don't. Esty and I see eye to eye on most things. It's not like a. It's pretty obvious who the best comics are.
Can I tell you something? Just off of what I'm not changing the subject, and off of something that Rafi said earlier.
Are we finished with my full life?
No.
okay,
It's
go
part
Well,
of.
yeah, I'm saying he's got
chiming in.
He's got a full life, and he's really there's a lot. I mean,
I'll only
he's
say this.
built a very full life. For
I will say just at the risk of upsetting Rafi, that I was surprised after I didn't plan on what I was going to do. I just found I wanted to give a toast, and I just found myself like acknowledging everybody. And apparently this came out very well. And even the waitress at the restaurant came to me to tell me how moved she was by the speech. And more than one person has said basically along the lines of Dan that they were it made them realize what a full life I had been leading. And also people mention that usually people who give speeches, they focus on themselves. And that actually people found it very nice that I, rather than talk about myself, I spoke about everyone else. But it was just just trying to be a nice host, I guess.
I do agree that Coleman got a lot of love.
Coleman got a lot. I mean, for the amount of Coleman, do you know Coleman? You ever met him? He's a short black guy, a huge intellect, but a short of stature.
Hung like a horse. not on a black scale, but yeah.
And his friendship with Noam is relatively new, but Noam was sort of taking him. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say like a son, but he's like 23 years or 25. He's much younger than Noam, and Noam is in love with the kid.
If he were trans,
So, when I'm not doing this, I cheat on you with Modi and Leo, right? I produce and co-host the podcast with the comedian Modi, and we had Matteo Lane on today,
Yeah.
and they were talking about you and the Comedy Cellar, and they said sort of similar to something that Rafi was saying, that the thing about you and the reason why everybody loves it and knows that it's really that stamp is because it's really fair. You're
It's fair.
funny if you work
It's
here.
fair.
There's no politics involved.
It's fair.
I
There's
mean,
no,
I would
that is
say-
a big credit to Esty.
I would say that, look, if you're famous and you're not killing on, you will get more leeway. I mean, right? I mean, if
Of course, you're famous.
you're famous, so
or if you're Brian Kaplan, apparently.
I don't know who Brian Kaplan is. Was he the guest? Like when I was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
fair.
good. He's
It's fair. Like,
talking to Mike. Talking to Mike.
I'm sorry. What Noam was saying about the power that Esty has. My first spot at the Cellar, no one got me.
Yeah.
My first and
He
second.
used to come to watch the band sometimes, right? Didn't you used to come on Monday?
No, because I was living in LA.
But when I first met you, didn't you come on a Monday night when we were playing in the Olive Tree?
That's when you gave me. I came here for the first time when you gave me a spot
Right. But when did I first meet you?
through text. And Kevin Nealon sent me.
Ah, right. That's how I met you.
Connector.
Yes. I got it. Yes.
And he
I
got me a
remember exactly.
spot,
Yes.
And then I just sent him a message to thank him because I was going back to LA, and he said, "I heard that you did pretty well.
Yeah.
You want to come back tonight?" Which was the next day, and I was like, "Of course."
Right.
So like 2 months later, I moved to New York because it's closer to Brazil. The comedy scene is much better. It's fair. I felt like it was fair because I was watching a lot of people that I didn't met or that I didn't know who they were, and they were very good. Which is LA. It's like you
How
know who they
famous?
are, but they suck. It's
Okay.
different sometimes. So I was like, I'm not here to do movies or anything else. I really want to do stand up. So New York is the place. And when I sent Noah a message, he answered me, now you have to talk to Esty. I can't help you. So that's in my experience.
Well, he
that's-
can help you, but he is loath to do so
maybe he didn't
because his relationship with
because
Esty.
he knew I was getting dicks in my ass.
Yes, but he also knew you'd probably impress Esty anyway, and you didn't need him. But
Well, I knew that Esty would treat it. I don't worry that Esty is not going to treat the comics fairly. If I was worried about it, that would be, that would be a serious problem.
But
I would
have you
have to
ever
address.
gone to the mat for a comic over Esty's objections?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I have.
Yeah.
You're still working here, aren't you? That was too easy, but still got to laugh somehow. I don't know.
So
And Esty was very fair to me from the day one too. It's like she is being very fair to me since I started here, and things changed when I started to perform here because I can watch people that I admire. I learn a lot. That's what I wanted to come here. Was not to pack theaters all over the country or anything else. It was just to be good at stand-up and watch people that I can learn from.
yeah.
That's what Esty.
If
and
I could
Cellar-
make you snap my fingers and you wouldn't have an accent, you'd have a native level English ability, but you'd speak no more Portuguese, and you'd have. But would you take that?
No.
Yeah, that's a
Oh, I thought you were going to
No,
ask a different
no,
question. I
that's-
thought you were going to say
maybe-
that
That's
if,
not a good question.
if you could perform,
I
if you performed exactly the same comedy,
Uh-huh.
but it would come out in a Native American accent rather than your
Uh-huh.
Brazilian accent, would you prefer that, or do you think that the accent gives you a little advantage?
Yeah, that's maybe a better question.
I don't have to tell the audience that I'm a foreigner, and I don't have to tell the audience where I'm from if I don't want it, because my accent already talks.
But it gives you a little je ne sais
does,
quoi,
it
right?
Yeah,
It does,
totally.
It does. It does give a little.
All right, how about this question? I got a better question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Now, I thought about it, and I got a better question.
better question? Okay, probably.
I'm gonna I'm gonna take away. Here's the question.
Okay.
You can go back to Brazil. You never get. You got two choices.
Perfect.
You live in Brazil and you have your nice life in Brazil, and I assume you make a very nice living in Brazil, but you never get to work here. Or you get to work here, and I'm taking 90% of your net worth, and you make whatever money you can make in
No,
America.
again. It's a lot of English for me. Please, again.
Okay.
Slower, there, slower.
Slower.
Okay. Two choices.
Okay, two choices.
Osos choice. You
What-
can live in Brazil
Uh-huh.
and have a nice life and make all the money that you make in Brazil,
Uh-huh.
but you can't come here. Or you can live here, but you can't go to Brazil, and I'm taking 90% of the money that you have.
No, I'm never gonna give you my money. What? I'm also my Hawksman.
Yes, Hawksman.
It's I come from a Jewish family. I would never do that.
He's half Jewish. And
I would
didn't
never
know.
do that.
So-
Fuck the Cellar. I want my money.
Okay, so but then you have to stay in Brazil if you want your money in this deal, in this hypothetical.
I'm living in a moment right now where I'm actually having to make that choice. My wife, she hates New York. My kid, he hates the fact that I'm coming here, but I just got my green card. So I'm fighting against everybody actually. My wife lives here with me and she couldn't hate more. Everybody's rude. People don't care about her. She doesn't have any friends. It's difficult. It's not easy for a Latin.
Where does she live?
And we live in Murray Hill.
Murray Hill. I was gonna say, if you live near me, make friends with my wife. But what's the rules of the green card? You have to live 183 days a year.
Yeah, more than 6 months a year.
100.
She grew up in Ecuador, your wife?
She grew up in Ecuador, but now she moved. She lived in LA since she was 18.
But what if
years
she
old.
gives you an ultimatum? Ultimatano.
And
And says, we're going back to Brazil. I'm
have,
going back to Brazil. You're coming or fuck you.
I have the means to come back and forward. So I would never not come here. That's not a choice. But
You prefer to live here.
I prefer to live here.
But if you have to, because of your family.
My
and your
dream is to bring my ex-wife, my kid, her boyfriend here, and we don't talk about Brazil. I would produce content to Brazil because I have my audience there. I have millions and millions of followers and everything, and I like to have my my people, of course. But I wouldn't go to Brazil. I wouldn't go.
But if you lived here, wouldn't your people at some point say, this guy doesn't love us anymore?
Everybody wants to come here then.
But all your fans in Brazil might like Celine Dion, make sure that every other album she does is in French because she doesn't want to piss off her French Quebec fans.
I don't think my comedy it's the same as Celine Dion's content. I think we have a different type of content, but
I'm
no,
saying,
no, no, no.
are you risking to some extent you're pissing off your Brazil fans
They know.
by saying I'm going to be in America and I prefer America?
they know. The thing is, if you are a musician and you have a hit in America, you have a worldwide hit. You guys is sport culture to everywhere in the world. Everybody knows who Katy Perry is. Even in the middle of the desert, they know. The way to conquer the world is conquer America. It's very difficult for a Brazilian person speaking Portuguese, which is a language that we speak in Portugal, Brazil, Angola, and Mozambique. We're not gonna conquer the world.
By the way, nevertheless, Brazilian music has conquered the world.
It does.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
Uh,
conquered the world?
Every girl from Ipanema, just to take an
I
example.
know, there's one
That's
song.
one.
No, but there's many
And
of
I-
them.
and
Tell
no-
me five.
That the average American would know.
See,
I mean,
now,
I know Caetano
you
Veloso.
know, like bossa nova.
Yeah,
It's a style,
Yeah.
and that conquered the world. And lambada you remember lambada, the forbidden dance. You guys did movies about it, and
That's Brazilian?
yeah, it's Brazilian, but this is the style. People want to consume Brazil, but not artists in the specific. Like.
Okay,
And
I-
also,
I,
I
don't
just-
know if I don't know if I can name 5 songs off the top of my head. I probably, but I don't want to sound stupid.
You're a
but
musician.
Every jazz musician knows Brazilian standards.
Mm-hmm.
In the 40s,
It's-
Carmen Miranda, Brazil, da 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 da. There has been constant. Everybody knows a bossa nova when they hear it. Everybody knows a samba when they hear it.
But
Throughout the world.
Yeah, they're
Throughout
not
the world.
filling up stadiums in a way that Katy Perry could
No.
go overseas and
No,
fill up a
no.
stadium.
Yeah.
But the music itself, artistically,
Perfect.
it's had a tremendous impact on world culture.
But it gets big when the world is interested in Brazil.
Yeah.
So Carmen Miranda, people wanted to know more about Brazil and the tropical country and the vibe. That wasn't a specific time. Bossa Nova, the same thing. Tom Jobim and all those guys, they were people
What
wanted
about
to know
Caetano
about
Veloso?
Rio. Yeah, Caetano is also, of course, a lot of people know him from.
Sergio Mendes, Brazil '66 was a big thing.
But also music is different, no, because music it's just the vibe, the way it makes you feel. Comedy is what I'm saying. When you listen to a Brazilian song, you like the vibe, the feeling, but you don't know exactly what they're saying.
Oh, I have no idea what this is.
So in comedy, I have to say something that the whole world will understand. Because they are going to listen to what I'm saying. When I'm competing with, when I'm going up on the Cellar, I'm going next to, I don't know, Chappelle or Louis C.K. or the great Dan Naturman. So
Obrigado.
Everybody's going to listen to what I have to say. People are not going to go to listen to me just because of my accent or the way I sound. I have to say something. So it's the same thing as you conquering the world with a Brazilian song, but also people are understanding what your people are on.
Yeah.
Mas que na- oh,
Music. You don't
Oba,
have
oba,
music. You
oba.
don't have to understand the lyrics.
Yes.
Comedy. You have to understand what's
Of
being
course.
said. That being said, Americans generally are not as open to songs in foreign languages
No.
as other countries, I think,
Of
are.
course.
Every now and again, a song will become a hit in America in a foreign language, like Enrique Iglesias, Bailando, and 99 Red Balloons back in that. But it's very rare that happens.
Think about it. What I'm doing here, I am a guy who speaks a language that very people in the world speaks, and I am sharing the stage with the best comedians in the world. Can you see the size of this? This is huge for a guy like me. I was born in Porto Alegre, a little city in the south of a country that is in the south of South America. And now I'm here. I didn't have any until 2005 or 6 when YouTube appeared. The only reference that we have of stand-up in Brazil, it was the beginning of Seinfeld. The opening of Seinfeld, he had like...
Wow.
That's the
So
only
there was
thing.
no stand-up, but now there is stand-up in Brazil.
Yeah, now, me
Is
and...
it like a big?
yeah, now it is. It's you all started with me and 4 guys.
Wow.
So now...
I mean, so in a way, you had the advantage of less competition.
yeah, but also there was no... We created the business. We created the business.
That's so interesting.
It's crazy because we didn't have stand-up. At the beginning of every show, the MC would explain to people what stand-up was because we were used to different type of comedy, like characters and impersonators. The same comedy that you guys see on Televisa, those like over the top, like that's the comedy that we used to have. So me and a few guys, we started this thing where we have to explain to them, I'm not a character.
This is me.
My name is Raphael. I'm not playing a guy or a Jewish. No. That's
I got to go downstairs. You guys can
All right,
continue
well,
without me.
we're
But
gonna-
I want to ask Rob one question on my behalf
We're
before we go.
finished
Then you
up,
talk
and
about
then
me.
I just want to... Yeah,
Just tell us a little bit. How do Brazil is quite mixed racially. You're totally white, and then there's every shade from you to,
not quite as white as Giselle Bundchen, but white enough.
to dark brown or black. Is there significant racism in Brazil?
Yeah, there's a lot of racism in Brazil. I would be crazy to say that it's not. I think we've lived in a little bit more harmony than we live here. In the past, I think it was better. It felt better, but probably it wasn't because people couldn't feel the racism that was already installed in the country.
Because of the segregation problem.
Yes, and also, it's the same story, the slaves and everything. So, yeah, of course
Yeah,
we
slavery in Brazil ended, I think, in like 1888 or something.
1888.
It ended later.
It was the last country, I think, that.
In fact, there are Americans that left the South to go to Brazil after the Civil War in order to continue having slaves, and they founded a city in Brazil called Americana.
Yes,
Yes, Americana.
it's close to São Paulo. Yeah,
Wow.
but it took the thing is, it's very difficult to say in Brazil who is black and who is not black. So, it's like.
Because there's so much mixing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of mixing for like years and years and years and years. So it's not like here. It's not like here.
But clearly, you and Giselle are white, and then there are people that are very, very dark.
But there's a lot of gray.
But there's a lot in between.
There's a
Well,
lot of-
that's happening more and more here. Rafi Bastos, I use Google Translate to be able to thank you in your own language.
Okay.
Obrigado, Rafi, por vir e discutir comédia no Brasil e sexo anal.
El transopinis.
That's exactly what
You
he said.
stepped on my
Was-
punch.
I'm sorry.
That's exactly what
Do it
he
again.
said.
Take 2. Go ahead, Dan.
Obrigado, Rafi, por vir e discutir comédia no Brasil e sexo anal.
Oh, you were along the same lines. Sexual anal.
Yes, but you
Anal
stepped
sex.
over.
I'm sorry. I stepped on
Thank-
your.
You said thanks for
your anus.
coming here, discuss comedy and also anal sex.
Correct.
Perfect.
Correcto mundo.
And
was-
also for
it was my pleasure.
Sorry,
expand-
Dan. I don't usually do that. Go
And
ahead.
thanks, Periel, for bringing me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy it worked out. But also, I'm so happy that you've perhaps expanded Noam's very narrow view of
what?
sex and gender.
Oh, I thought you were going to say of having comedians on the podcast.
If a real if a real man with tattoos who's 6'7" is willing to take it in the ass from a trans woman,
Of
maybe
course.
it's good enough for Noam Dworman as well. We have to end with that.
Well, I would say that, listen, I don't like to have comedians on the show so much, but if every comedian were as interesting as Rafi, I'd have them on all the time.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much.
I mean, he's got politics, takes it in the ass. It's like, this is he's got a perspective
Next.
on international relations. This is an interesting man. But usually our comedian episodes are not as interesting. Right, Nicole?
I
comment.
wish I could speak better English. So
No, it's perfect.
Oh, your English is amazing.
I'm so much smart in Portuguese. Oh, I feel stuck sometimes. There's so many things that I wanted to tell you guys, and I was like, fucking But you know,
Well,
that's-
you can come back and tell us.
It's training. It's all about training. Next time you go to Brazil, no, I go with you, and we have some.
And we will get you
anal
fucked
sex.
in the
Yes.
by a girl. By a girl.
Girl, but girl.
Don't
Well,
worry
no,
about it.
No one might question.
I
whether
did hang out all night one time with this
See, we are getting there.
Yeah.
with this guy, and I mean, it was young. He didn't come out as trans, but it was clear to me he was trans.
So it was a woman.
No, well, he was not living as a woman.
Okay.
He was interacting as a man because of the culture that we were in. But it's clear from the behavior. I have no doubt that if he were in America, he would have been trans. And I could see how after a while, he's so feminine, so womanly that you could just forget that this is actually a man. But I just imagine that once the clothes came off and you saw the penis, it would just like, no, wait a second, this is not, I would.
You'd be surprised though. That's a very narrow view.
Don't care about the penis, my friend.
Don't
It's
focus
okay.
so much.
It's part of the body. It's okay. It's just like an elbow. If you think the penis as an elbow, you're not gonna care about the penis. Yeah.
I'm missing the Twilight
Something
Zone
to
right
think
now.
about. We thank Rafi Bastos Hawksman, better known as Rafi Bastos.
My pleasure.
And Periel, thank you as well. Noam, and of
I
course,
go downstairs. I have a meeting.
our wonderful sound engineer, Nicole Lyons.
Well,
Thank you, everybody.
friend.
See you next time on Live from the Table. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Oh, that was great. Thank you.